Attention. Donald Broadbent, who was born in 1926 and died in 1993, was a British psychologist and active around the same time as Alan Turing, whose computer was instrumental in hacking into the German Enigma machine. While working as a fighter pilot, Broadbent observed that a lot of man-made accidents happen because pilots mistook a lever for one thing for something else when they were bombarded with too much information. Since information overload can overwhelm us, he came to the conclusion that our attention has a limit. So he concluded that the human mind processes information in somewhat similar fashion to a computer. His study, which is known as dichotic listening experiment, was carried out among air traffic controllers, where he noticed that they did the most effective job when they were dealing with one message at a time. This selective attention to a particular voice was somewhat akin to a filtering system in which the subject had to silence other voices to solely focus on one voice at a time. He used a Y-shaped tube as an analogy. When two separate messages enter the bottleneck, the flap only open for one message at a time, which is known as the broadband filter model. For example, when two voices came through at the same time, the brain has to make a snap decision which one should come first. It's all done in the short-term memory stage. Quote, one of the two voices is selected for a response without reference to its correctness and the other is ignored. But how does the mind make that decision as to what message to store first? He argues that filtering depends as much on the content or message of the information as it depends on other factors such as clarity of voice, prior expectations, prior experiences, and memories. In other words, the short-term memory is sometimes open to new information, but most of the time it simply selectively listens to things based on other factors. Broadbent used cocktail party as an analogy in which people hear many voices but only listen to one, not the others. So to sum up, Broadbent argued that there is a clear limit to our attention and realistically we can only listen to one message at a time. And we choose which message based on the content of the message, but also prior memories or expectations. So just like other cognitive psychologists, he argued that the human mind is an active agent in shaping reality, not a passive agent that only absorbs reality. Our attention is pretty instrumental and proactive in how it selects what to listen and what not to listen. Now that we have established that perception is not one-way street or slave to the outside world, the fact that the mind itself has an intention of its own is very selective, we move on to the second topic of cognitive psychology, which is memory. How does perception turn into memory?